My name is Lisa Pagotto. I am the founder of Crooked Compass, and we do both small group tours and private tours, but really focusing on those areas that are quite, I guess, untouched in terms of the world of tourism, where things are still very traditional, still very not crafted for tourism. It's still very truly authentic. And we really look for those destinations that do offer that tradition that isn't being shaped because people are paying money to come to see it. It is just truly how people live. So a lot of the destinations that we operate in are quite frontier. They don't have a lot of infrastructure, but they deliver a level of experience that you cannot get in destinations that have been really well established for tourism. So just to give you a little bit of information about me so that you know who it is that you're dealing with. So I've had Crooked Compass. I started this business 12 years ago. I've been in the travel industry for 24 years. In all sorts of walks of life, from starting off as a travel agent through to being a tour leader throughout Europe, and then obviously now on some of our own tours, as well as working in sales, marketing, product and strategy across Asia Pacific before I then started my own business. And the reason that I started Crooked Compass was because I saw a gap in the market. 12 years ago, you know, the term experiential travel wasn't really a thing. The market wasn't quite there yet, but this was how I traveled. And I was beyond backpacking, but I still loved the sense of adventure that you got from these less developed destinations. And I figured, surely, if I want to travel to these, you know, lesser discovered places, but in a more comfortable way, there has to be other people out there that want to do that too. And so I built it because it didn't exist. We started off with 6 small group tours. Now we have over 100, and then we do our private touring as well. And everything always is based off, even when we're doing private touring for our clients, it's always based off looking for that lesser known, really trying to bring that deep level of connection to the destination itself. Now, I do have a little video, but I don't know if the sound will play. We'll give it a go. I'm hoping you guys can hear it. No? Okay. Can you still hear me while the video is playing? Mm-hmm. Yes? Okay, cool. I'll do a bit of commentary then while you look at some pretty footage. So what you're basically seeing here is a collation of some of the destinations that we operate in. We've got places like Papua New Guinea. This is Myanmar that's on there at the moment. Before there was Georgia, that's Iran. We've got North Korea just here. Some of these, obviously, we can't travel to right now, but it gives you a bit of an idea that what we're looking for, what we bring to our guests that really are truly away from where the mainstream traveler goes. It's always about being hands-on. It's always about having that connection with the local people. So I'm trying to talk over the commentary of the video, so hopefully I made sense then. But that will give you a bit of a visual introduction as to what the style of travel is that we offer. So jumping straight into Mongolia first off. So this picture here that you've got on your screen, this is obviously a global map. But what a lot of people don't realise, so that area in red, that's not just Mongolia, but that is showcasing how far the Mongolian Empire actually spread during its reign. And, you know, so many people, when they think of Mongolia, they think of 2 humpback Dune camels, sand dunes, gurs, and nomads, and that's kind of it. But they don't really understand that the empire literally touched pretty much every single continent except for ours and Antarctica. And so when you visit Mongolia, there are so many different layers that are just so unexpected, and it is so much more than, you know, just that sort of desert that a lot of people have in mind. So just to give you a bit of further perspective, what you can see here are just some of the contrasting landscapes that you can expect in Mongolia. That top picture with the sunrise, that's actually a glacier that you can see in that image here, and that's in the Gobi Desert. The picture next to that with all of the horses, that's in the Altai, which is the far west of Mongolia, where the Eagle Festival is, that we'll be talking about shortly. And again, you can see it's quite barren, very desolate, quite different. And those 2 pictures below, the one with the purple wildflowers that's quite green, and the sand dunes, they're also the Gobi Desert. So even though all of those bar one picture is the Gobi Desert, you can literally see how different the one region really is. And that's what makes Mongolia so spectacular, is you can see so much in such a small portion of the country. In terms of like why people choose to go to Mongolia, the real draw card is the culture. That is what people choose to seek. And the three, I guess, big culture points or experiences that attract people are the Eagle Festival, which you can see the eagle hunter on the horse in the bottom corner there. That colourful picture in the middle, that's the Nadam Festival, which is like your Mongolian Olympics. That takes place in July. And then the image in the other corner with a little boy with a reindeer, that's the reindeer tribes that are in the far north of Mongolia near the Russian-Siberian border. So very diverse culture. The culture differs depending on which part of the country. And again, we'll jump into that a little bit more when we jump into the tour that we have for Ladies Who Travel. So we have an amazing 16-day tour in September 2027 that Mel will be hosting. And what you can see on your screen there, you can see a little map. Just to sort of give you a little bit of geographical perspective, that loop that heads to the southern part of Mongolia, that's a loop through the Gobi Desert. And the grey line that cuts through the middle, that's an internal flight taking you out to the far west, which is the Altai region over near the Kazakh border, which is where the eagle hunters are. So what this trip covers is basically two big bucket list areas of Mongolia. When people want to go, generally the first timer wants to go to the Gobi because it does have great ger lodges, the infrastructure's pretty good. You know, more and more you have private en-suites, which is, you know, wasn't possible literally 2 years ago. So it is sort of elevating, but you still are staying in the ger camp, so you're getting that experience and you're exploring some of the most spectacular landscapes, which we'll have a look at in a moment. And then in the far west, when we fly across to the Altai region, to see the Golden Eagle Festival is a big bucket list experience, and we'll talk about why when we have the images to support that. So just going through the Gobi Desert, this is what it looks like as you fly in. It's just spectacular. You can see it's this like grey-green on the top, but then the rivets and the canyons, they're this incredibly golden country. You know, most people just expect this dry, desolate, sort of sandy type landscape, but it's not that at all. And then, you know, the next day you're here. And if you have a look in the distance, you can see how small our vehicles and our guests are as they're looking into this canyon. This is the Sagan, I can never pronounce it right, the Sagan Savaga cliffs, just layers and layers and layers of sandstone and granite. And you can see these incredible colors, sort of like the Rainbow Mountains of Mongolia. And then we're still in the Gobi Desert, and this is still in summer, where there are still frozen waterfalls because they're in valleys and gullies that just don't actually see the sun. So, you know, you're only a day away from this from where you were the day before, and it's just so contrasting. And then the next day, you're here. This is the Kongor sand dunes or the Singing sand dunes. So every single day is so different, and that's what makes it so incredibly exciting. It's not same. It's not another temple, another, you know, when you go to other countries, you're like, oh, do I have to see another temple? Do I have to see another monastery? Every single day is completely different. This is that, I guess, your iconic Mongolia image that a lot of people have in their mind when they think of Mongolia, with the rolling sand dunes and the two humped Bactrian camels. You definitely do have the opportunity to ride one if you wish. Otherwise, we do some beautiful sundowners, and we go to the Singing sand dunes in the evening, where you can watch them change colour as the sun sets at night, which is just spectacular. The reason that they're called the Singing sand dunes is because when the wind carves through them, it does this beautiful like whistle sound that sounds like it's singing. Another big draw card for people to visit the Gobi Desert is petroglyphs. So for people who love that sort of ancient history, petroglyphs and dinosaur fossils are big draw cards to Mongolia. So we do visit 2 petroglyph sites on this tour, dating back to 500 to 3000 BC. And yes, these are obviously very basic drawings, but this is the beauty of petroglyphs just because of how old they really are. And I mentioned dinosaur fossils, so this is the Flaming Cliffs. So Roy Chapman Andrews, who is an American explorer, he came to Mongolia in 1922. And over the course of 2 years, he was searching the Gobi Desert because he was sure that there were dinosaur fossils somewhere in this region. And this is actually where he found them, here at the Flaming Cliffs. He found dinosaur eggs that were around 10 to 15 centimeters in size. And this was the first discovery of that scale and of that kind in the world that had been made at that time. So again, anyone that's into that paleontology, but of course, obviously spectacular landscapes, we do cover this as well whilst we're in the Gobi Desert. So that gives you a little bit of an introduction as to just how beautiful this region is. You can see there's literally nothing around. One of the biggest adventures with Mongolia is that so much of the driving, there actually are no roads. And so you are sort of off-roading, not like hardcore four-wheel drive where it's rough or anything like that, but you're driving on these flat desert roads and there's just no one. It's just you and the landscape, and it's just incredible. There's no queues of coaches or anything like that. So once we've finished exploring the Gobi, which is basically the first week of your tour, we come back to Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia, and then we fly out to the far west to the Altai region. Now this, oh, if my slide wants to change. No, it's frozen. One moment. There we go. Okay. So this is Ulgi. This is the town that we fly into in the far west of Mongolia, and already you can see how completely different this landscape is. We've got a river flowing through it. The houses are sort of colourful and low, and it looks like it's a little bit of a city. The other thing that's really interesting about this area is that it is a Muslim population where the vast majority of Mongolians are Buddhist. In this part of the country, because most of the population have actually migrated out of Kazakhstan into this part of Mongolia, they are Muslim. So you have your mosques, you have your call to prayer, which is very, very different to the rest of Mongolia. And you also have that influence in the food in this region as well. So that makes for, you know, a fascinating contrast in itself to where you've just been in the Gobi Desert, and really sets the scene for a very, very different experience in this part of the country. Oh, okay. So the reason that we come over here is for the Golden Eagle Festival. Now, before I explain what you're looking at on your screen, I just want to provide a little bit of context around the Golden Eagle Festival, what it is, why it exists, and why you should do it with Ladies Who Travel if it's something that you are considering. So the Golden Eagle Festival, there's now actually 3 of these festivals every year. 2 of them are crafted specifically for tourism. They take place in Ulgi town that I just showed you on the previous slide in a big stadium. And basically, just like any kind of football match or whatever, you buy your ticket and you have your seat, and that's where you sit to watch it for the 2 days that it is on. For us, we are not interested in being involved in something that is commercialized like that. And we actually work directly with the local communities to celebrate the start of the hunting season, which is why the Golden Eagle Festival started in the first place. So our Golden Eagle Festival is only Crooked Compass guests and local people. You can see on my next slide, I'll show you, but you'll see the people that are there. It is all local people, and then the only foreigners will be people that are traveling with Crooked Compass. So you have this exclusivity to this festival. And also just another couple of points that I'll mention there. The 2 that are set up for tourism, where you are in the big stadium, you're just a person in a crowd. You don't have the opportunity to go and mingle with the eagle hunters, to pet their beautiful horses, to hold their eagles, and we'll go more into those experiences in a moment. You literally just sit in a seat and watch. Your meals are literally whatever's available in the food truck. It's like watching a football match, basically. Whereas for us, because we control it, we control what the experience is going to be like for our guests, and that makes it so much more personal. When you are at our Eagle Festival, in your lunch breaks, we go back to our Ger camp. So we build our own Ger camp every year for this. To give you an idea, last year we had 60 Gers for our guests and for our crew. We bring in a full cook crew. It takes us a month to build our camp for everybody, and I will show you videos of what it looks like shortly. And one of the greatest things about the way that we do it is that we are providing income for families that don't see tourism at any other time of the year, apart from September, October, when this festival takes place. And we rent the Gers from the local families, so the money is going directly to them. The bedding is made by the local kindergarten. And again, we rent all the beds and everything from local families as well. So it's directly impacting a community that has no other reason for tourism to be there apart from the Eagle Festival. So that's huge for us in terms of why we do what we do. But the other big thing, last year, one of the big commercial festivals got cancelled 2 days before because of government bureaucracy. When we control and build and run our own festival, we're never going to have that problem. And so whilst it's not something that you think of when you're planning a trip, it is something that I do like to point out because it has happened where other tour operators that use the big commercial festivals have had clients left high and dry because they're buying a ticket at a government run event. So just to talk through what you're looking at and what the Eagle Festival is. So I mentioned it's the start of the hunting season. So the Kazakh eagle hunters have migrated into Mongolia from Kazakhstan, and still to this day, they have the practice of capturing eaglets, which are baby eagles, from their nests when they are small and training them up to hunt for their food ahead of the winters. And so the festival, the purpose of it is all about who has the most agile, strongest, accurate eagle that has been trained. And these eagles, they hunt when it's not the festival, when they are truly hunting. They're hunting for things like foxes, hares, squirrels, those sorts of things. And this is the meat that these people eat throughout the winter because there is nothing else. Everything's barren. It's completely covered in snow. You're looking at -40-degree temperatures. And so these eagles are their eyes and ears when looking for food. They use their furs to make their clothes, as you can see in some of these photos, and this is still practiced today. The sport of eagle hunting is protected by UNESCO as a cultural intangible heritage sport. And we do ensure that all of our guests get to spend a lot of time with the eagle hunters. Our guides act as translators so that you can ask those questions. You know, how old were you when you caught your eagle? Is this your 7th eagle? Is this your 1st eagle? How do you train them? You don't get that opportunity at the big festivals. You also have the opportunity to hold these birds. They weigh like 20 kilos. They are big, heavy beasts. And again, just really understanding the depth and the uniqueness of this culture. Apart from seeing the eagles perform where they are, you know, hunting effectively, not a live hunt, but you know, their master is dragging a fur behind the horse and the eagle comes down and catches it. It's timed, it's graded on how accurate it is. And so at the end of the 2 days, the best eagle is the winner. They also do other nomadic games like archery on horseback, where the horse is at full pelt and they're using their bow and arrow to shoot at a target. The image you can see on the bottom corner of the man leaning across on the horse, he's leaning down to collect coins that are in the dust, and that horse is at full bolt and they fling themselves underneath the horse, pick up the coins. They also do like a traditional Kazakh kiss and catch, where it's the girls whipping the boys are trying to get away from the girls. And there's all sorts of traditional nomadic games, which are just, you know, there's knuckles. It goes on for 2 days. It's really incredible. There's a lot of camaraderie. The top image there where you can see that eagle flying back to the master's arm is part of this experience. Oops, wrong way, this way. So an eagle master will take an eagle to the top of a cliff and you can see the festival ground below. So just behind where all those cars are parked at the very top of that image is where our Ger camp is built, walking distance to the festival ground, and all of those people are local people or Crooked Compass guests, so majority of them are locals. You can see there's a tiny, tiny little man on a horse, so you can see how high up that eagle is from the bottom, and that man on the horse will be running on his horse with a fur dragging behind the horse, and that eagle will circle until it spots the fur, and then it will fly down like a bullet to catch that fur. Sometimes things don't go to plan. Sometimes the eagle sees like a real thing that is running on the ground in another valley and will literally disappear over the mountain. And then you see the horseman literally running through the mountains on his horse to go and capture his eagle, which is all part of the experience as well. And incredible that they managed to find their bird and bring it back. So that sort of gives you a bit of an idea of, I guess, the more sporting side of the festival. But the other experiences that we deliver for our guests at this festival is we do always have eagle hunters dine with our guests at lunchtime on both days of the festival, again, for that one-on-one interaction to truly understand their way of life. But one of the afternoons, we take some of the eagle hunters with their horses and their eagles to be able to capture shots like this for our clients. These are what we like to call the money shots, where, you know, you don't have crowds of people or cars or anything in the background. Just those beautiful, stunning images that you would love to put on your home screen or on your wall at home. You know, this photo and the next one I'm about to show you, these are not our marketing shots taken by professional photographers or anything like that. These are client photos just snapped on phones, on iPhones. And yeah, we organise for our clients to be able to have these beautiful moments. This one 2 years ago, the river was running. Last year when I was there, the river was frozen, so we couldn't go into the river. But again, just so beautiful, and you will not get this experience when you're at a stadium in the middle of a city. The only benefit of doing the big commercial festivals, and again, it depends on what type of traveller you are, is that you do stay in a hotel. So you do have obviously your own private bathroom and your own shower. At our camp, which I will show you here, this way, there we go. At our camp, for the 3 nights that we are out here, there's long drop toilets, and I will show you what they look like so that you know what you're dealing with. And there are no showers because this is a completely mobile camp. The ground is frozen solid, and it's way too cold to even remotely consider taking your clothes off anyway. But for 3 nights, for the experience that you get with us, there is nothing else like it in terms of that authentic experience. Obviously in the Gobi and when we're in Orki town, obviously bathrooms and all that sort of thing are available in your more, I guess, expected standard. But just to give you a little idea, I took this video last year from our camp, just showing you what the landscape looks like, how much in the middle of absolutely nowhere we are. I'll just play that here. And just, yeah, how beautiful it is. You can see these are all our guests and all of our crew. That little green box there, that's one of the toilets. We build multiple toilets. You can see our convoy of vehicles, and of course all of the beautiful sunset. And there's literally nothing else around except for us. And that blue tent that you can see in the background, that's where the festival ground is. So moving along to the next one. Okay, so this is what the toilet looks like. It is very basic. So we do build these little sheds around the toilet. We provide the toilet. It comes and goes with us. We leave nothing when we pack down, and it gets cleaned every single day. So we build multiple toilets. We had 4 last year for everybody to use, and they are more than fine for the couple of days that we are there before we head back into civilization. The other image on the side there, this is the inside of the GER. So again, this is not what a regular GER camp looks like. This is just what our GER camp looks like for these 3 nights, because we're building it, renting these GERs from the local people. So you can see there's a couple of beds around the room. We only put 2 people per GER, or 3 if it's a group of friends traveling together. We have blankets down under each of the beds so that you can put your luggage on the ground without it getting grass on it. And you can see in the middle of each room, we have these cast iron stoves that are chocked every single night. They keep you super cozy, sometimes way too hot that you need to open your GER door to let some of the heat out. But yes, you definitely do not get cold. In terms of how we travel in Mongolia, we travel in 4-wheel drive convoy. So we use Lexus 4-wheel drive vehicles, and the reason that we travel in convoy is because so much of Mongolia is off-road. You do need to be in a 4-wheel drive vehicle for that comfort. These vehicles are built for tough terrain. In Mongolia, one of the experiences that will naturally happen, whether it's to your vehicle or a stranger that you cross paths with, is someone will always get bogged, someone will always get a flat tire, there will always be something. And there is this culture in Mongolia, if someone is stuck, you always stop and help. So you end up meeting all sorts of locals who are stuck on the road, other travelers as well, exchange stories. It becomes just part of the Mongolian journey, because that's just what happens in Mongolia. Another reason why we do travel in convoy is so that if something does happen, we've got the space for everybody to jump into our other vehicles and for the tour to keep moving if a vehicle needs to go and get repaired without it disrupting the flow of the itinerary. So that is all I'm sort of covering about Mongolia tonight. Next, I'm going to be talking about Romania. But before we jump into Romania, I could see that there are a few questions sort of flicking up. Mel, I'll get you to read those out if they're relevant. please put through any questions that you might have about Mongolia, and then we can continue over into Eastern Europe.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So we didn't have too many questions. Just some of the things were like, as you were presenting, were beautiful, amazing. Where do we fly in and out? I mentioned, I just posted from the notes you gave me. I can't even pronounce it. How do we pronounce it, Lisa? Ulanan?
Ulaanbaatar. So there's basically 3 options. So either coming through Hong Kong, South Korea, through Seoul, or going through China, Shanghai or Beijing.
Okay. And some of the ladies, well, one of the ladies that is already on there has already priced her flights from Melbourne. So there you go.
Perfect. Ready to go.
But we've also just got a question about, like, will we have a guide that can speak English and also translate locally?
Yes. So you are fully escorted guide who has brilliant English. All of our guides are storytelling guides. And yes, you'll have a guide for the Gobi, who's a specialist in the Gobi Desert, and then you'll have a different guide for the Altai region, because it's a completely different language and different culture in that part of Mongolia. But yes, their job is to translate. So the eagle hunters generally don't speak English. They're not really exposed to English at all in that part of Mongolia. So the guides do translate so that you can ask all those questions to really understand about their culture and their way of life. And then they're obviously your experts. You'll have Mel with you as your escort while she's not, guiding and giving you a history spiel about dinosaur fossils and, things like that. She will be there to assist you. And then at the Eagle Festival itself next year, I will actually be there managing our camp. So I won't be hosting any groups, but I will certainly be there for anything that anybody needs assistance with. But your guide will absolutely be your point of contact. And yes, brilliant English. We have the most incredible guides in Mongolia, so you'll be well looked after there.
The other question is, obviously, you talked about no showers.
Yes.
Just to clarify, Lisa, that's only for a certain part of the trip. It's not like for the whole trip. And also
only for 3 nights.
And where there is no showers, is there anything where we have access to water where we can just wipe faces and stuff like that?
Yes, so we provide safe drinking water, which absolutely you can use to wash your face or freshen up. What we generally suggest is to bring wet wipes for, underarms and intimate areas, just to, stay clean, fresh. But yes, we can provide water, whether it's cold, or we do obviously boil water for tea or coffee. So if you prefer hot water and make your own little mixture of warm water to wash your face, absolutely that is provided.
But like you said, what did you say? It was only 3 nights of the whole
only
tour?
3 nights. It's only the 3 nights at the Eagle Festival because there's no infrastructure there.
Yeah. So access to showers all other nights. So I think
Correct.
Our tour is about 2 weeks. So it's only 3 nights, no showers.
Yeah, you're 16 days, 15 nights. And so 12 of them, you definitely have showers. 3 of them, you need to get creative.
Yeah. That's it. That's all the questions that we have for Mongolia at the moment, Lisa. Okay. Hang on. Okay. We do have an interesting question. What's your point of difference from Tripodil or Intrepid?
Specifically for Mongolia or in general?
I think it's probably from Mongolia, yeah.
Mongolia? Okay, cool. So, yes, okay, cool. Thanks, Janice. So for Mongolia, firstly, the types of vehicles that we use. So we are a more premium operator. So we will use a higher class and standard of vehicles than Intrepid and Tripodil, which is owned by Qantas. We have multiple vehicles. Again, for comfort, you will find with both of those operators, they will have more people in a larger vehicle, which when you're traveling on unsealed roads, it's not always the most comfortable. We will be using an elevated level of accommodation, excluding our Mongolian Ger camp. Thinking about the rest of the itinerary, we'll be in more premium Ger camps than what those 2 operators use. We also, as I mentioned, we run our own Golden Eagle Festival. Both of those brands do go to those big commercial ones where you do just have a seat in a stadium. So again, it really comes down to what type of traveler you are. If you are somebody that is, I guess, more price conscious and you just really want to see the different regions and sort of tick it off, then that would probably be more your Intrepid Trip a Deal type experience. If you're someone who values that deep connection, that one-on-one time with local people, that elevated level of comfort when it comes to the way you travel in terms of mode of transport, the types of accommodation that you stay in for the rest of the tour, excluding the Altai area, we're definitely a level above the other two operators.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for that.